Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Atlantean Healing and Guidance. My name is Talia Jade and this is the second video in my video series where I talk about my story, my spiritual awakening, what I learned along the way, and my intentions for this creative project, which is very special to me, is to raise the collective vibrations of love and dispel the irrational and unwanted fears that are not serving us and that we no longer need. This is all coming down to a dream I had, not last night but the night before, that completely changed my perspective on this project and has given me, like, reignited the spark that I'd lost in starting this project, because, you know, I did that first video. I've had so much trouble trying to upload the stuff. I'm no content creator or video editor, or, you know, I know nothing about all this stuff. I'm completely learning the hard way as I go, and I'm trying to upload these ridiculously sized videos by the time I'm finished editing with them, and I thought high quality is better, right? But then it literally took forever to upload that first YouTube video, and I was like, what the hell, how is the size so big? I'm crazy, what am I trying to do? I'm purposely making this hard on myself. So from now on I've reduced the quality, etc. I'll edit them differently, and so it should be easier to get them out now. But that's just an example of how I'm possibly limiting myself by trying to do things a certain way, and it's actually holding me back. There are, in this line of work, so light workers, people like me, it's quite a common thing. I've watched a lot of videos, I've heard a lot of people talk about being visited by a deity or a god or a goddess, and being tasked with a purpose from them and dedicating their work to this god, goddess, or multiple, sometimes it's more than one. And I always thought, wow, that's so cool. Like, I wonder how they even worked that out. How did they find that? Some people feel connected to a deity or a god or a goddess that they really like, and they will purposely, like, try and connect with them for sometimes years before they actually receive correspondence back. Now, I have a lot of my card decks are very much focused on, I have one that's sort of got gods, but mainly goddesses. I have a lot of goddess decks. I love looking at the mythology and working with those cards, but I love all of the goddesses in my deck. I never really was like, oh no, I'm gonna contact this one, like I want to work for this one. I never even thought about it. And so in my dream the other night, I was visited by a deity. She didn't reveal herself at the time, which I feel like was on purpose, because she wanted to gauge my interest and kind of see how willing I was to work with her and how I would research her. So, you know, it's quite clever, and this is how I came to a lot of these realizations and changed the way that I'm facing this project. I've even changed the description of the last video I uploaded already, because now the intention is clear. You know, I was writing the description and I was thinking, I don't even know how to describe this project. Like, my mind is going in 50 different directions. There's at least 20 videos I want to get out on all kinds of topics. I'm like, I don't even know how to summarize a little, what's it called? Abstract, you know, to a big story. And it was just like gibberish. I can't even remember what I wrote. I was just listing random topics, and I was like, God, I am even having trouble, like, reading this. Like, but I had to just post the video, so I just posted it. And with working with this deity, I've realized it's so simple. Focus on love, you know, increase intentions of love in everything that we do, decrease the unwanted, unnecessary, irrational fears. That's all I've ever wanted to do, and I don't know why it hasn't occurred to me sooner. Like, it's so obvious in everything that's happening in my life. But anyway, I now have clear intention. I've reignited the spark for this project, and I'm taking a completely different approach. So I hope you guys pick up on the shift in energy, and that you like how things are going to go moving forward. So let me tell you about the dream. I was at my late grandmother's house with my siblings, my cousins, my family, even one of my cousins that's not even from that side of the family. Really random, he was just there. So we're walking through the house. We don't have the house anymore. We had to sell it after my grandparents passed. But and in my dream, obviously the house looked quite different. Actually, it looked the same, but what I did was I found this kind of trapdoor in one of the bedrooms. And we crawled through this trapdoor and the house just continued into this huge mansion. There was like a courtyard, it was sunny, it was beautiful. There was like 5 more bedrooms, another kitchen. It was crazy. And there was one of those indoor pools. I don't know if anyone's watched Spartacus, where they have like, it's literally just a room with a hole in the center of the room, and it's all tiled, like the walls, the edging of the pool. It's really weird. It's literally like there's nowhere to drain the water. It's just a hole and it's all tiled, and somehow it's just filled with water. And I don't know how I'm gonna have to Google that later actually. I want to know how they drained those pools back in those days. Anyway, so we're standing in this pool room in the water, and we're just talking about the house and going, oh wow, like I forgot these rooms are back here in my dream. Obviously they were never there. And we're like, let's move in, like let's come and stay in this house, like why don't we all live together, blah, blah, blah. And then I see someone appear, literally right in front of me, just here. And they're kind of like this to me, like hiding half their face with their hair. And I'm just looking at this person and I'm like, who are you? I've never seen you before. And I was like, what, you're not like a family member. I was like, where did you come from? I just had so many questions. I was like, who is this person? And I was like fixated on like them. I forgot everything that was going on in the background. I was just fixated on this person, and I was like really curious to what was going on. So I was like staring at it. It was like laser focused. I was just staring at her. I'm like trying to work this out. And then she, you know, I couldn't see one half of her face, but I could see the other half. And she looked like this, like a shield maiden, blonde, messy hair, pale, young, like pretty much similar to this card. And then what she did was, once she realized I was watching her and that I guess I wasn't scared and I was intrigued, she turned to me and she showed me the rest of her face, which was actually like corpse-like. It was like rotted. She had, you know, those flowers on apple trees, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, they were all stuck in her hair with like twigs and leaves, and it was all like dreadlocky, and it was a mess. Like she'd been rolling around in the forest and came out, and then her face on one half was all like corpse-like, like half decomposed. Like if anyone's watched Game of Thrones, basically what the White Walkers looked like on one half of her face. And then she went like this, and she showed me her ears, and she was wearing these earrings, right, which are my gummy bear earrings. I hope you guys can see that. I did put a photo on my Instagram today, but she was wearing my earrings and she was like showing them off to me, and I was like, what the hell? And then she starts darting through the floor, because she's a spirit obviously, so she disappears through the floor and she comes back into the room through the wall, and she's like really, her energy is just like so playful. She's real like trickster, like she's performing magic tricks for us. And it's kind of like, look what I can do. I'm a spirit. I can, you know, do this and that. I just stole your earrings. Like she was being really cheeky, and we were like, and almost like showing off, like, you can't do this, but look how free I am. Look what I can do in my form. And then I realized she had a dog with her, and my dog was in the dream as well. And my dog, he's a rescue. You know, his story, I mean, it's not like, to our knowledge anyway, there was any horrendous backstory or abuse to his story. We got him almost as soon as he was surrendered. So he wasn't even at the shelter for very long. But just that experience alone has made him quite wary and aggressive with other dogs. Like we've done all the puppy classes, we've had the behavioural specialists come out and everyone is just like, he's never going to be a social dog. Like, he's never going to be that dog that we can take to the dog park and play with his doggy friends. Like, we have to keep him away from any animal, actually. Cats, birds, anything. So that's the kind of dog we had. But in my dream, my dog was playing with her dog, like completely friendly, having a good time. And I was like, what? Like, how did you just do that? This dog is not friendly. I don't understand how you got him to play with your dog. It was just so bizarre. So I think that's basically all. I think that's all that there is to talk about in the dream. I woke up soon after that. And, you know, often I do remember kind of images here and there. My dog's like, you're talking about me, aren't you? Did you guys hear him barking? What was I saying? Yeah, so normally with my dreams I see like images and kind of remember snippets of my dream, but this was like so clear and it was so strong, and I was like, immediately I like shot out of bed. I was like, I gotta find out who is this visitor that showed up in my dream. I want to know everything about her. I started Googling. I found like, I can't even remember what I first Googled, something about goddesses or deities, and it came up with like this whole article of like 20 kind of main ones that are really wild. So I'm reading about this goddess that has half a, you know, normal face and half corpse-like that's decomposed. They described her as being blue. She didn't look blue to me in my dream. She just looked like so pale that they almost have that hint of like icy blue, but not actually the color blue. And she had a dog. So I was like, this has to be her. Like, how many goddesses can there be that fit this description? So I start Googling. Her name's Hel, by the way, H-E-L. She's a Norse goddess. She goes by, you know, many names over the histories of paganism, Christianity, and all the mythologies and how they've changed over the years. In modern times, right, it's completely different. So, you know, she's like equivalent to like Queen of the Dead or Queen of the Underworld, caretaker of the dead. Some more Christian influenced stories will paint her as a complete villain when actually she's nothing of the sort. So I will get more into things about her probably in a later video. I need to do some more research and I'll come back to that, but for now I'll just tell you what I've picked up on her energy and how she appeared to me and what she taught me. So number one, she's completely wild, or maybe not completely, like she is reasonable, but she's carefree, completely carefree, and she's quite playful actually. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Hel is Loki's daughter, and my dog's name is Loki. So it was all kind of like starting to chime in. She never married, she never had children. She's just like, in early paganism, she's worshipped as an earth goddess, which explains how she appeared to me, because she did look really earthy. I don't quite have the picture, but you know, literal twigs and leaves in her hair and this messy like hair. She really was like something of the earth, but specifically her story is more like the deep earth, like where the dead are buried and the deep roots of the underground underworld. So to put like a super brief spin on it, she was banished to the underworld by Odin. It was kind of like, you know, all the souls that don't matter, like the sickly and the cowardly, those souls were not deemed worthy of going to Valhalla, so they were sent to the underworld. You can take care of the souls that don't matter down in the underground. And what she did was embrace the challenge, basically. She was like, that's fine, I will rule this whole kingdom and I will be free in this kingdom, and I will look after all the souls that come into my care. And she did more than just look after them. She didn't baby them. Okay, people don't come to her for pity, but the souls don't go there for pity. She's none of that. She's like, you've come into my kingdom, this is how we kind of roll here, this is your purpose, right? She gives people a job, a purpose to do, that obviously is for the good of the world. So she puts them to work. She takes care of them. She makes sure everyone's looked after within reason, obviously, because if someone's just doing anything evil, then she would take none of that. She's not evil. So, there are limits, but everybody has a purpose, and she puts them to work. And the animals, like, she's very connected to animals, to nature. So that's probably as far as I'll go for now, because like I said, I do want to do some more research. I do want to connect with her again. I do want to understand how she's talking, how she talks to me, and what her intentions are. And I'm actually really excited that she came through in a dream. It was such a nice surprise, and just doing the research as I went, I was already learning so much, and I was answering my own questions. Like, I came up with a new way to describe my video and my intentions, right? And I changed that. She reignited the spark that I'd lost in my project because I was having so much difficulty with the video editing and uploading side of things that I have no idea about. So she really got me back into it and passionate about it. And she was also like really saying, basically, fuck the script and the structure. Like, what are you doing? She was like, just talk, just be you, just get what's inside of you out and have at it, like, hurry up. So that's why I'm taking a completely different approach to how I do this. I don't have a script. I'm just going to keep talking, and we'll see where the story goes and how many videos I need. We're all going to be surprised and go through this journey together, you guys just as much as me. So I will be less careful. I've also been trying to be very careful about the words I use and how I speak about people, because I'm trying to be maybe even too conservative or politically correct. So yes, there will be explicit language as it's called for in my video series. If you have a problem with that, maybe this isn't the place for you. I'm disclaiming it now. Within reason, obviously. I'm not here to be putting bad energy out there, but a natural part of how I express myself is through swearing sometimes. So for those purposes, as I tell you my story, naturally what I do in my everyday life is gonna come out in what I do here. So I'm not going to purposely filter that for the purpose of these videos. And I feel like she's really just saying embrace like the wild spirit within you. So that's what I'll be doing. She also is a goddess of darkness, so hence I'm really going with some dark energy today, and I'm really celebrating her. It's quite funny that we are in a full moon. Tonight is the full moon, so this is normally all about everything being illuminated, celebrating the light, and I'm here celebrating darkness like it's Samhain or a new moon and it's all dark, and I'm like here doing the opposite of what everyone else is probably doing on a full moon night. So again, a true testament to her spirit, because she's completely like against the grain, against the norm, against the whatever timeline that others set on you, or whatever like steps of achievement or whatever other people put on you to feel worthy. She's like, screw it all. It doesn't matter. She's just like, just be you. Don't be afraid to go against the grain, which actually in many points of my life, that is naturally me as well. I have gone against the grain in terms of my community, my family, my culture, multiple times in my life, including doing this business right here. Like, this is unheard of where I come from and everyone who knows me. So I think I see why she chose me, and I also see why exactly in that moment she came through on that specific night, and got me thinking a different way and got me to see this project in a different way and myself and approach it differently. So so far so good. I'm super excited. I've placed an offering out to her on my altar, so I hope that you know, she receives that well, and that I see her again and talk to her again. The other thing that did happen yesterday is my dog's name tag that says Loki went missing. Like, it snapped off of his collar. So I feel like that's a clear sign on the morning, like, that I had the dream, and then his tag goes missing. So I feel like she's clearly saying she sees me and she's there. And I am seeing more signs that relate to her, like the number 3, things that represent darkness, birds. Like, I pulled some cards out for myself before, and I've got several cards that depict like black birds, crows, ravens. That's very much associated with her. And so dogs, like this wolf dog. Right, so since she's brought me here and in the spirit of darkness, let's keep talking about my dark night of the soul experience, because in no way, shape or form have I addressed even half of what that experience was for me. I've talked, yes, about the discrimination on my sexuality and the rejection I faced and the breakdown of my nursing career, but there was actually like so many other things going on in the background throughout those couple of years as well. And again, I would have gone on with my video series doing video number 2, and I would have called it like spiritual, you know, awakening journey, phase number 2, awareness, and I would have started talking about that. And I'm like, and I feel like she's coming in saying like, like this pause of why I'm having difficulty with the video uploads and things was for a reason, because she was like, if you go ahead to this next video, you're missing out on so much that is relevant in this phase. So I'm gonna address some of it here. I'm probably gonna have to take more of it into maybe even another video about this darkness phase. And like I said, it's as much of a surprise to you guys as it is me. So let's just see where it takes us. There are a lot of symptoms associated with a dark night of soul. A lot of negative, heavy, low vibrational energies, a lot of very difficult things to overcome. But by far and wide, the most difficult one for me was the loss of my connection to my soul. Because when that happens, and you know, not everyone is probably going to know what I'm talking about, but for anyone else who has experienced a loss of connection to your soul and to your intuition, it's it's truly the most like hopeless experience. Like, suddenly nothing makes sense. You have zero clarity. Like, you just don't know what to do. It's crazy. I'm even like just feeling the energy talking about it. I'm like, ugh. So number 1, that's what I want to address first. Now, in my dark night of the soul moments, I had this disconnect, and I have experienced this disconnect once before in my life, in my last spiritual awakening, which I've mentioned to you guys in 2018. And once I'd found a tarot reader who helped me, and a couple of psychics. I tried all kinds of like different things. And once the connection returned to me, and suddenly I was finding pieces of myself and making a different life, and everything was making sense again, I made a vow to myself, like, I will never ignore those signs again. I will never sit in that phase. And you know, now I know how to find the guidance I need to get through that. Anyway, so I've recognized the signs once before. It was nothing compared to how severe it was this time, because I was, you know, I was used to using my intuition, and then suddenly I couldn't, and again, like nothing made sense. I couldn't function. I didn't know anything what to do. I had no clarity. It's like walking around blind. I feel like it's like what it would be like, and I'm in no way, you know, insulting the deficits of a vision or a hearing impairment, but for me, who's used to having these senses, it was like suddenly becoming blind and deaf to much of the guidance and insight of the world. So I remember on one particular day going to see, this is a different tarot reader that I found more recently, who is amazing, and I see her all the time, despite even in my most connected spiritual moments, it's very difficult to read for yourself. So I still go and see her, especially for big personal things happening in my life, because I'm just too close to situations. I can't possibly make sense of the cards a lot of the time. So you do need to, I still do need to go and seek that elsewhere myself. So one day I'm seeing her, and I'm like beside myself. I'm like crying, and I'm just like, I've lost my soul. I believed that it was gone, because it had gone on for longer than before, and I was like, okay, now I'm really getting scared. Now I'm really getting worried, because I'm like, if I don't sort this out soon, if I can't reconnect, if I can't get out of this dark night of the soul soon, I was feeling like my soul was gonna die. Like if it went on for too long, it would be gone forever, and I'd never get it back. So I was really struggling with that thought, which, you know, was probably just the negative mindset that I was in, and a bit of the mental health stuff, but it felt real, and it was making me react as if it was real. So I'm explaining this to her, and I'm telling her, and she's like laughing, literally laughing at me, and she's like, you cannot lose your soul. Like, your soul will never leave you. She was like, I can't even remember what else we were talking about in that session. I just heard those words, and I was like, it's just what I needed to hear in that moment to give me hope where things were completely hopeless. So, you know, that's the kind of I want to say therapy. Yeah, you know, fuck it, let's say therapy. That's the kind of therapy that you can't get from a doctor or a psychologist or maybe even like friends, you know? That's the kind of thing that nobody could help me with but her, and we have a special like rapport. Obviously, if you're going to get guidance and insight from someone, you need to be very open with them for them to be able to read you and give you an accurate insight to your situation. So that rapport is really important, and it just made all the difference in the world. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. This is how I ended up here doing this for myself, because I was like, you know what, why not? Like, why don't I try reading tarot? Why don't I do this? And, you know, fast forward kind of 6 months now down the track, and I'm now fully embracing and seeing how I can do the same thing for other people. Yeah, you know, in a similar way. Also, I mean, it's all over my website, and I will talk about this in later videos, but coming from a healthcare background, and now having the spiritual awareness and knowledge that I have now, and abilities that I've strengthened, and actually from my experiences mainly, I now have this view of health and well-being as a whole. I mean, in my nursing studies, we were always taught that health is holistic and you need to look at the whole being, and that includes everything: social, family, spiritual, every part of the person's life. Now, in reality, healthcare just isn't like that. You see your doctors for the most minimum amount of minutes that there is in their day for a real brief checkup, and then you're on your way, or they send you for a test, and then they address pretty much strictly physical problems that show up in these tests. And it's that holistic view is just lost. There's not time for it. It's a business. They need to make money. Everything is business. If they sat there with their patients all day and were like, let me analyze the 12 areas of your life and your well-being, and let's like spend all this time here, they'd see one patient a day, right? It's not practical for anyone to make money. So the focus is on seeing as many people as possible in as little amount of time as possible. And you know, until, unless it's an emergency, then you go through a different stream. But basically that's what healthcare is. You know, some people can feel free to argue. I think most countries and places are similar. If they weren't before, they certainly are now. So, you know, the system that's in place is quite limiting in that sense. So I had to find my, and my doctor was great. Like, I'm not saying don't go to your doctor, absolutely go to your doctor. Have a regular GP that you trust and that will help you and get along with you. So, you know, my GP referred me, you know, picked up the flags in my mental health and referred me to somebody who could help me. Eventually, I found someone who could help me. You know, it was a process because, again, the system is completely overloaded. I couldn't find the therapist I wanted. Anyway, I'll get to that. So, you know, eventually I had to find help that way. But my doctor was also like, yeah, but we really need to talk about getting you a gym membership. Like, you need to go for walks every single day, walk the dog, like no matter what, go for walks. So, you know, with a little bit of that from my doctor, a little bit of that from my psychologist that I eventually found and helped me, and then what I was getting from my spiritual advisor, who is my tarot reader, all three of those people and all three of those areas of my health and well-being that came together, like completed me, basically. Everything came back into place, and now it's just, it's so different, like, you know, and it brings me to this rebirth stage where I can put that out there. So, yeah, it's really important. And like I said, it's on my website. It's something that I talk a lot about. It's something that I firmly believe in. Okay, we have physical, mental, body, mind, soul. It's pretty simple. Physical, mental, spiritual systems that all need one to be balanced, maintained, assessed in some way, shape or form to get a complete view of your most optimal health and well-being. Because if one of those things is out, it can, especially for a prolonged period of time, it will then affect the other two, and then eventually they all fall in a heap. Okay, so it's important that we start talking about health as not just physical, and even not just mental, but spiritual as well. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean you have to, you know, go and find a tarot reader and talk to spirits and do witch rituals or anything like that. You know, religion, anything that is a belief system that just fuels your soul, right? Because it's your spiritual side, it's an energy thing. It's important to have a belief system. It doesn't matter what your belief system is, it's just important that you do it for your soul, and that it's something that is, you know, for the good of you and others around you. That's important as well, because you can have spiritual beliefs that are damaging to others, that are detrimental to your well-being, if you don't have the awareness. Something else I want to address that ties in with this dark period, darkness the darkness within me and within my past, is an important kind of friendship and connection I had that broke down. So one of my friends from many years, like my teenage years, right, to well into adulthood, who, you know, I was there for a lot of their life journey in our adulthood. We were quite close. We actually, you know, she was actually very spiritual as well. So we had quite a deeper connection than just getting along as friends. Like our hearts were connected, were bonded on a soul level. Even though there were difficulties in the friendship eventually, energetically we were tied to each other. So I was there throughout her marriage, the birth of her children. We became family. A couple of years, you know, into things, there were signs that some things were getting difficult. There were some signs that she was struggling with some mental health, perhaps. It wasn't obvious until everything started breaking down, and then I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't pick this up sooner. The signs were clearly there. I could see it happening before my eyes, but I didn't have all the information. I didn't know what was going on. She wasn't opening up to me. She wasn't talking about it. And I later found out that there was, you know, she was going through some stuff after particularly the birth of her second child that altered her mental well-being. She became quite fearful, very anxious, and eventually started to have these skewed views of reality. And that was when I was really starting to become concerned. So anyway, comes to a point where I get this random text message, literally out of nowhere. And she's like, me and you know, her husband are separating. And I was like, what? She was just like, you know, just letting you know we're separating. It's mutual. End of story. And I was like, what the hell? What do you mean you're separating? Like, where did this come from? I have so many questions. You sent me a text message. And so anyway, we caught up for, I don't know, some event for the kids, whatever. Maybe, I think it was actually Christmas maybe. So we're all together. And I'm obviously, being family, I'm friends with both people in this marriage, very close friends. I wasn't ever going to choose sides, and I made that clear with both of them that that was not going to happen. So don't, you know, use me as which they weren't going to anyway, but still, it was just, we had to put that out there and say how it was going to be. So we're talking, and she's telling me this is an issue within the marriage and within the house, and you know, we just can't get past it. And I'm like, okay, like what have you tried? What have you talked about? And she's like, I want this person to get help with this issue. And I'm like, are they? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. So they're getting the help. Like, this could be fixed. I was like, what are you gonna do to follow the outcome? Like, how are you going to work on this together? They're getting the help they need, or that you ask them to get. So why not just chill for a minute, let them work through the thing, and maybe it'll all be overcome through the help they're getting. And she was like, yeah, but even if like they did all of that, I'm still not, like, I still wouldn't want to continue the marriage. And I was just like, right. In that moment, I knew that was the, for lack of a better word, excuse. The excuse that was the label that was being put on this marriage breakdown for others to see, but not the real reason. Because I was like, if that's a problem and they're working on it, they're solving the problem, like, what's the issue? Why would you separate? The problem's being resolved. So the fact that she was like, nah, even if the problem's resolved, I still don't want to be in this marriage. I was like, immediately I was like, there has to be someone else. I was like, why, like, or you just are not in love with them anymore. And if that's the case, then why not just say that? Like, I'm not the kind of person to judge you. You know that. Why not just say? instead of fabricating a problem and saying, even though they're getting help, I still don't want to be with them, just say, we're not really that into each other anymore. It is what it is. Okay, cool, no worries, done. But that wasn't the case. It had to be this person's fault. And she was hellbound on this story. So things are unfolding, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I'm still in contact with both of them because they're both my friends. And I'm seeing a lot of stuff come through on social media. A lot of stuff that is putting this other parent down, clearly. It may not be using the name, but clearly putting that parent down. Everybody who knows this person knows who they're talking about. At first it wasn't kind of making sense. It was just like putting them down, and it was all about kind of her making it sound like her experience was so difficult, which I'm sure it was. But that was a lot of the content that was coming out. Then, right, this is maybe 6 weeks probably after the text about separating. I get another text message. There's somebody I want you to meet. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Like, I knew it was another person. I could see this coming. And she's like, no, like we just started talking like that week or something. I can't completely remember the timeline, like, so don't hold me to that. But it was close, like within 2 months. Anyway, so this is going on and I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, let's meet up one day. Let's do this. Like, you know, I'm not, obviously not judging. I'm saying, are you happy? She's like, yeah, I'm really happy. I'm like, okay, great. That's all that matters then, you know, as long as the kids are looked after and whatever, you do you. And so carrying on, then the content is starting to get more aggressive towards this other parent. Then the new partner is starting to be basically like presented as this fairy tale person who's just completed their life. But not only that, there was a lot of content of this new person with the kids and the other parent purposely being kind of left out and not involved in like milestone things for young children that both parents should most certainly be involved in. And so that's when I was like, this has gone on too far. I've been quiet too long. And I was like, morally, I cannot be friends with these two people and like see this happening to the children who I was also, you know, incredibly attached to. Not only me to them, but they were attached to me, particularly the older one. You know, we're like family. I spent a lot of time with these kids. And so I was like, for their sake, right, this is not okay, right? They love both their parents and to me, this is not okay. I'm not okay with this. So I said something to my friend and let's just say it did not go down well. She was like she was labeling this behavior as an empowering moment for her and her coming into her greatest strength and modeling this like empowering behavior for her children that was to be idolized. And I was like, no, don't call it, like, make this something that it isn't. You are not modeling empowering behavior for your children. You are stepping on the other parent's neck to make yourself stand a little bit taller, and completely disregarding the needs and the suffering that your children are currently going through. Like, so don't come at me and accuse me of not being happy for you or trying to tear down your power. I said, that's completely false, and like, you are not seeing clearly if that's what you believe is happening here. This is it. So it got very, very, very quickly. We just couldn't see eye to eye. She didn't want to hear the reason or what I was saying, and she blocked me at every turn. It was just like, no. Like, what you're saying, just that isn't the case. You know, in her head, she was seriously like, no, I'm doing like the best thing ever. And I was like, look, I was like screaming. I'm like, come on, like, look at this. I was like, think about the kids, think about this. And so yeah, it just got messy very quickly, and I'd never actually had the opportunity to meet this new partner. That's another thing I'll just make clear. Never met this person. Pretty soon after that, she dropped off the contact altogether, completely blocked me on every single device we had, wouldn't talk to me, anything. And originally in those moments, I was like, oh my God, like I can't, I became desperate. I was like, shit. I was like, I've pushed her too far. Now I can't see the kids. Like, I was like, this is, I was having a real crisis, and I was like texting her, and I was like, look, we may not be able to recover this friendship, but you can't not let me see the kids or whatever. And nothing. I would get no responses. I got to the point where I was like begging her to, I was like, what do you need from me? What do you need? Like, I was ready to just like apologize and just go along with everything just to see the kids. I was like begging, okay? Now, if you're ever reduced to begging in your life, you know that you've completely lost the track. I will never ever beg again. It was probably the worst thing that I could have done, because it probably gave her this, again, false sense of empowerment. Like, she was like, I won this situation. This person is now bowing, you know, coming crawling to me. And what she did was completely ignored all of those texts and all of those messages and cut me off from the kids immediately. Time goes on, and she, you know, I was the first one she cut ties with. Then there were others. All the other friends, anyone who knew this family and the children, gone. The other parent, gone. Her own family, eventually her own parents, gone. And years later, because this has gone on for many years, still is, people from way back in like our teenage years are reaching out to me and are messaging me, and everyone's like, because they knew we were friends, and they're like, what is going on? Like, I'm really concerned about this person. I'm seeing this behavior, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I know, like I tried to say something over a year ago. I can't access this person at all. Like, there's nothing I can do. So that was the situation. And what actually, it was far deeper than that, because not only was I hurt that I'd been cut off in a soul connection I had with this person and the children that I was attached to, but her and this new partner took things one step further, and I later kind of found out that this other new partner, is psychically gifted, let's say that. Their intentions, okay, are not aligned with spirit, and you know, in my opinion, the true essence of spirit, and which is for good and for the benefit and for helping others. Their intentions were very negative, literally purposely designed to hurt others. So what this person did with their gifts, knowing that we had this soul connection, used their influence right over my friend to attack me, you know, through her. Like, she was the what's it called, like the firing agent. What's the word? Like, she was the intention, right? The attack. She was the attack, and she sent her attack through my friend to me, because we'd never met. Like, she probably didn't know how to get to me, but she knew that this person could get to me. So she used my friend to do that. And she literally, intentionally, psychically attacked my energy and my heart. And this is the kind of thing I was leading into before, when like the three aspects of your health, when one is in dire straits or has been attacked, you start to see the other areas of health take effect. So spiritually, I'd been attacked, and I didn't see it coming. It happened behind my back, so I couldn't protect myself. I didn't know what was going on, didn't see it coming. So it hit me by surprise. I didn't know it was there. So in the meantime, it's just sitting there hurting me. Not sleeping, it was consuming all my thoughts, all my energy every day. All I thought about was these kids, and I still do. I send them so much love all the time. I don't want them to forget me, and I don't want them to think that I had anything to do with this disconnect. So I make sure that they feel that energy from me, and I'm always sending them that love. But it was really affecting me. Like I even was at a loss. I was like, I just can't get over this. A year had gone by, probably at least a year, and I was still like, what the hell? Like this is killing me, probably because everything else was also going on at the other time. But it really, really rocked me and hit me hard. And I was, not sleeping. Mentally, I was like going crazy. I was obsessed with this situation, and I was just like, how do I overcome this? What do I do? I was trying to kind of bargain like ways to get back into these kids' lives. And I started having heart palpitations, chest pain. I literally felt like someone was sitting on my chest all the time, 24/7. I felt like someone was sitting on my chest, and I could feel like arrhythmias all the time. And like, I'm a nurse, I'm still working in the hospital. I check my blood pressure, I do ECGs. I know physically, there's nothing wrong with me. Cardiac wise, my blood pressure is, if anything, too low. There were no signs that could explain these symptoms that I was experiencing. So eventually, I'm out of options, and I go to see this psychic, and we do some visualization exercises, and she says to me, I can see this plank of wood over your heart, which I had put there, of course, because I was hurting and I had to create some kind of boundary to protect myself. So I put a big plank of wood over my heart, trying to protect myself. But as we worked through the visualization, eroded this plank of wood, and immediately I was like, oh my God, that whatever was sitting on my chest was gone, but the pain was still there. And she was like, now that plank of wood is gone, I can see straight through to your heart, and there is literally a stake in it. And the reason I say that I didn't see it coming is because she sent it from my back, and it stabbed me from the back through to my heart. So yeah, I'd put this block trying to protect my heart, but it did fuck all, because the stake was going through my back into my heart. And I realized why I couldn't freaking get rid of this pain. No matter, I tried everything, right? I know how to deal with energy. I literally tried everything. And so she was like, right, now I can see it. It was a stake. Actually, it was not a stake. It was a hook. So it wasn't just a stab. It was like a hook. She wanted it to remain stuck in there. So I couldn't get it out. So then we did some more visualization. God, what is wrong with me with that word? Visualization exercises, got rid of the hook. And I'm like crying, because I'm like, the relief that pain was out of my heart was insane. And I was finally free of that pain. And from then on, I accepted the situation for what it was. And I had to just accept that this person was on their own journey. No one can control their actions. Eventually, I guess, whether in this lifetime or the next, they will have to deal with the consequences of their actions and the pain that they intentionally put on other people. That's not for me to repay to them, that's for karma to sort out. But I just had to let things happen in their own course, and in the meantime just make sure that I was doing what I could for these kids. We're nearly there, guys. I'm pretty much at the point now where even though I've recovered from that situation, you know, that was probably in the first year of my dark night of the soul. Fast forward to kind of where I left off in the last video, 2 more years of the rejection and stuff, and then the nursing breakdown. I was still very much in this dark night of the soul phase, my goodness. And it got to the point where I would sit around and I would look at my friends and my family and everybody around me, and all I saw was problems. Not that I had problems with my friends or my family, just seemed that everyone was going through a difficult time. Everybody was also mentally struggling or sick or having issues with love or in a relationship or with money. Like, it was just always something with someone. And of course, as an empath, not only was I going through hell, I was seeing people I love going through hell, and I was like, oh my God, I can't feel any more goddamn emotional pain, right? And so I went to the beach. I live near the beach. I love the beach. The water's very special to me, and knowing that my grandma's with me in spirit, she talks to me all the time. I'm sitting on the rocks at the beach. It was not a busy day, so to be perfectly honest with you, I don't actually know where in the timeline this happened, but it has to be towards the end of last year, roughly, I would say. Anyway, I don't know, it mustn't have been too hot. There was not a lot of people at the beach. Anyway, I'm sitting on the rocks, so I'm feeling pretty private. Like, no one could hear what I was saying. Like, the sand is back here, and I walked. There's like this one rocky section where I walked like right into the rocks, and so where I'm sitting, like, the water is all around me, and then there's just a trail of rocks back to the sand, so no one was around me. And I'm sitting there and I'm like looking up at the clouds and the sky, and I'm trying to connect with my grandma, and I'm like pouring my heart out, and I'm literally like saying, I just can't do this anymore. I'm like literally getting emotional. Now, this is such a like pivotal moment in my journey. I can't, like, I just, every time I talk about it. So I'm sitting there and I'm telling her about it. And I'm saying to her, because at this point I'd kind of worked my tarot reader, and I'd always had this awareness. I'd always known that I was meant to do more, because everything that I'd achieved, all the successes I had in my life, didn't fulfill me. And I wasn't able to express or transmute all of the pain that I was picking up from my own journey and everyone else's around me. And so I'm saying to her, like, I know that there's a higher purpose you want for me, and I want for myself. I can feel it. My soul is like calling for it. And I'm like basically pledging myself to her, and I'm saying, whatever it is you want me to do, I will do it. I was like, I'm 100% committed. I was like, I want whatever gets me out of this place and allows me to help myself and help everyone else. Like, I will do whatever it takes. And I was asking her, I'm like, show me a sign that you're here with me and that you hear me. And in that moment, like the clouds, actually I did this before I started talking to her, sorry. I asked her to show me that she was there before I talked to her, and the clouds like parted, and the sun just shone through. In that moment, it was like 2 seconds, like the clouds parted, the sun came through, and the clouds covered it back up again. So I was like, okay, you're there. And then I started talking, and I honestly can't remember the exact words, but I remember just being so emotional, being like, I cannot function doing this anymore. I need to do whatever is the next step. I need to just give me a purpose, basically. I was like, show me what my purpose is. Allow me to access my purpose. I need this. And I was like, I will do whatever it takes. I was like, I don't care how hard the journey is. I was like, I don't care, as long as it helps, you know, as long as I can do good. Like, I will do whatever you want me to do, literally. And I'd kind of finished whatever I needed to say, and I was sitting there and I was just waiting. Obviously, you know, nothing obvious came through to me in that moment, because I had a lot of work to do to get my health back on track before, and then reconnect to my soul and my intuition before things slowly, you know, more into this year started to come together and started to make sense, and I started to find my purpose. And, you know, I'll explain the process of how that all happened as well in later videos. But in that moment, I just put the energy out there. I just needed it to be known, and I just promised whatever I needed to promise. I was pretty much like, pick me. I was like, please pick me. Like, I can do this. I'm ready. Believe in me. Like, that's what I was saying to her. And suddenly, it's literally like, these birds were appearing that I've never seen before. And my grandma, she comes through in birds a lot. And this was kind of weird. So these birds were appearing, like crabs and all these animals are like walking on the rocks, and then fish are like leaping out of the water and falling back into the water, and this bird that came next to me just like picked one of the fish up and like swallowed it whole, you know. And there was another bird sitting on the water, those water ones, just dipping its head in and shaking it off and dipping it in again. I was suddenly like sitting in a David Attenborough documentary, and I'm watching all this animal life surround me just come out of nowhere, and I was like, okay, I've been to this beach a lot of times and I've never seen this. I was like, she has to have heard me, like she's telling me she's here. And so I walked back to the beach, and I went home, like it was getting late as well. And so that was that. So I think that covers much of the darkness in this video, and I'm gonna leave this here. But thank you again for watching. I think I've covered what hell was wanting me to address before I move on to the next, you know, awareness and hermit phases of the videos. So we'll pick up on the third video. Thanks, guys.